Hi friends, so welcome to all of you on Refer Me Group channel, and like in this video we are going to start with Scrum ceremonies. So as I said in previous video that we will go in a step-by-step process. Why? So it will be easy for you to understand about Scrum, about Agile, right? I mean, definitely there are lots of channels and lots of YouTube videos, but I try to keep the things in a very simple manner, right? So the one of the ceremony which you hear, that is your sprint planning. Now lot of things that comes in your mind, that what is a sprint planning, what is now let's try to understand first what is a sprint, right? So a sprint, if you will look at the general meaning, sprint meaning run at a full speed over a short distance. Usually in any of the methodology, if you will if you have seen, so it is about the releases, right? uh, Sprint, if I talk about, so completing one circle, if I say, or in terms of IT or in terms of the delivery, IT delivery, if I'm talking about, so it is about some releases. So sprint meaning here is, it is a release, that is your sprint, right? Now let's move on to planning. Planning is something, for example, let's suppose if I want to go to my office, so what will be my planning, that I will be if I have to reach to office by 9 o'clock, so definitely, and again it depends on at what distance I am leaving from my office, right? So planning is something that I will awake at this timing, right? I will go by this car, I will be in this dress, right? I will start my journey at this time. So planning is something which should be a precondition, that is necessary and sufficient condition to start about your release. That is your plan. Now if I combine both two terms here, what is a sprint and what is planning, so it's a combination, that is what is a sprint planning. A sprint planning is nothing but, you can say, it's a okay, let me come to the sprint planning later on, but let's try to understand a lot of questions that comes in our mind, like who gets involved in your sprint planning, how to start, why sprint planning is important, when it needs to start, how we can start, what are the precondition, prerequisite, where it should be stamped, or what kind of a board it is required to prepare. So in this video we will understand on few points, and there will be another video of sprint planning part 2 which I will prepare, and as per the role wise I will let you know, like who are the people who participate in sprint planning, and what are the conditions that are required for sprint planning, right? So here, like I said, let's discuss first that what is sprint planning. So sprint planning is nothing but it is a time frame box event which should be completed within the given time frame, and it is a kind of a kickoff meeting, right? And meeting in the sense that there is a one person, I am not going to say who, but there is a one person who conducts the meeting, right? And share the objective or share the goal of this particular release with the development team and with the another people, right? So this is about something which is a precondition, or something, a goal is shared, where shared by someone. Who is someone, I will let you know in further in few minutes, but it is described on the, or priority of the user stories has been shared, right, based on the availability of bandwidth and the capacity, correct? So and the team who gets to participate for this. Now the question comes, who participate for sprint planning? So here, if you will look, the people who participate in your sprint planning is your product owner, scrum master, and the development team. These are the three people who gets engaged in your sprint planning, right? And scrum master usually who facilitate your sprint planning meeting, during the sprint planning meeting, right? There is a product owner who, and the development team who agrees on the sprint goal which is decided, and negotiate which item in product backlog should be committed in sprint backlog, means what item we are committing for this particular sprint, right? Generally the scrum team who estimated the user stories during your product backlog refinement, right? So those user stories should be picked during your sprint planning, and they should be committed or given a commitment by your development team that we are going to deliver these user story in your upcoming sprint, right? Or in this sprint. That is whatever we do. Whatever we do in your sprint planning, these are the things, or we can say these are the things which we do during your sprint planning. Now, what are the prerequisites? That's very important, and usually we get confused what should be done in sprint planning. Means what things are required to start your sprint planning. So few items which I have thought I should share it with you, right? So let's talk about which are items we need to focus during the sprint planning. One is your prioritization of your backlog. That is very important. Prioritization of the backlog means for sprint planning, we should know that we have a product backlog, and the product backlog item should be arranged in the priority basis, and the product owner basically needs to prioritize during the sprint planning, right? But if I say prioritization is mainly product owner's responsibility, idea is so that in sprint planning the people or the team should get engaged, right? And that's why I say that it's a product owner's responsibility to prioritize those user stories before the sprint planning has been started, right? Now the second point is your groomed user stories. So groomed means those user stories which has already been you can say estimated, the risk has been identified, the dependencies has been identified and understood by the team member very easily, so it is easy for the team to commit on those user stories. So the second prerequisite which needs to understand here is your groomed user stories. And the third is your definition of ready. So definition of ready is, you can say, a good practice for the team. I mean, definition of ready is something which is a precondition to start working on any user stories. And before committing on any user story, the team should know what are the things required for this user story to start, right? And if any particular user story is a priority, so product owner, that for example, any product owner says, no, this user story is on the priority. So definition of ready is kind of a gate that should be passed by the development team, or the checklist which should be an entry criteria for the team to commit on that. So it is not only about the high priority user story, but for all as well. But basically definition of ready is like your precondition which should be agreed and should be easily understood by your team as well to commit on any user stories. Now what is the definition of ready, what is the definition of done, what is the acceptance criteria, that I will make another video where I will share all these details. Next prerequisite is your planned capacity. Planned capacity means that capacity should be defined, right? And capacity, if I am saying, so it is not about the working hours, right? It is not about the availability of your team, but I am considering your capacity plus the velocity, right? So as per the velocity, what we have delivered in the previously, that should be taken care, and accordingly we should pick the user stories that should be fit in that velocity, average of velocity. For example, in previous 3 releases, you have your average velocity was 45. So you should make sure that in upcoming sprint we are committing to those user stories which are having sum up somewhere in the range of 45, might be from 42 to 47 in the range. It should be somewhere. As a personal, I feel the same. Plus capacity, we should also take care. For example, in the previous sprint, the capacity was, let's suppose 140 hours, or before that it was 160 hours. Now in this sprint, someone is taking the lead. We should also consider the same point here, right? So the fourth prerequisite, the planned capacity should be there. Hence, it is easy for the Scrum Master that what team is committing, and it is smooth. So in future there should not be any slippage of the user stories, and team is comfortable to work on those user stories, right? So these are the few points which are prerequisite for your sprint planning. In the next video we will talk about what we should take care individually, like what is the role of a Scrum Master, what a Scrum Master should do before sprint planning, during the sprint planning, after the sprint planning, what team needs to take care before, during and after, and what product owners should need to take care before, during and after. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I'm very excited to see you in my next video. And please subscribe my channel. Please like and share the videos. And if you have any comment you want me to include few more points, please let me know. So it will be easy for me to summarize those points and let you know in a very simple language. Thanks a lot. Enjoy with your family. Take care. Bye bye. Have a wonderful time.